All right, welcome back to the show. Glad you could stay with us. It is Tuesday. It's the day after Christmas. My co-host for the hour is Tom Borelli. Thanks for being here, Tom. Appreciate it. Yep. And it's time to remind you that the phone lines are open. We're taking your calls, 877-NEWSMAX. It is 877-639-7629. The question hanging out there right now that we want to hear from you about is, what is your top story of 2017? There are a myriad of lists out there. We've got all kinds of stories up at the top, and many of the lists have sports up at the top, according to the Associated Press. The NFL protest, in which multi-million-dollar athletes took a knee during our national anthem to protest police brutality. In the process, divided the nation, killed the ratings for the league, which made the goose that laid the golden eggs. It has been an interesting year. And who better to talk to us now about that is the retired NFL safety for the Oakland Raiders, and for a brief moment, the New York Jets. We won't hold that against him. Super Bowl champion Burgess Owens. Burgess is also the CEO of Responsive Healthcare Solutions USA and author of a book, Liberalism, or How to Turn Good Men into Whiners, Weenies, and Wimps. Burgess, thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Mike and Tom, looking forward to chatting with you. It's a great topic, by the way. Looking forward to it.
Well, let's start with this NFL protest, because Tom and I were sitting here in the studio, right? He and I have talked about this before. I have never, well, you know, I'm all for free speech. I'm all for people letting me know where they stand. I'd much rather somebody tell me where they are on something than keep quiet about it, okay? But I have never in my life seen anybody do anything to cut their own throat, like the players in the NFL, to alienate a fan base and kill a business model at a time, frankly, Burgess, when they really didn't need to be doing that, because it was already kind of on the edge anyway. I know how you feel about this, but why haven't they been able to stop this?
Well, you know, we have a problem. We haven't been teaching the free market in our school system for a long time. So not only do the players not understand it, but it appears that the people who run NFL have no clue about it. They are corporatists. And it's one thing, when I look back, I think about the old guys, Al Davis and Roselle. And I actually looked up their history. They grew up in a time in which we were fighting wars and we loved our country, and every man really looked at themselves as being part of that. They didn't talk about it a lot when it's all said and done, but it was a pride that they had, and my dad was part of that. So when I stood on the sideline back in the 70s and 80s, I had been taught by my parents, my dad, and people around us, that we should be proud of our country, proud of that flag and what it represented. And the fact that I could stand there doing something I loved, being a part of a very small group of people that did it, I got teary-eyed at times because it was such a great experience. We now have, in the back of this process, we have young men that have been trained to be socialists and Marxists, because that's what liberals do. And we have corporations run by socialists and Marxists. And unfortunately, they are clueless about our country and about what makes it tick. And I didn't realize it was possible, to be honest with you, to ever mess up the NFL brand. I just never thought that they could do it. But leave it to liberals. They'll figure out a way to mess up anything they're part of. And that's what they've done so far in this case here. So we'll see if they kind of understand and humble themselves and get back to what America believes in, or if they continue to let the players run their company.
Burgess, following up on your opening statement, I mean, who do you really assign responsibility for this disaster that's going on with the protests? Is the players, the owners, Mr. Goodell, who runs the league? Where would you put the percentage along those three?
Well, the fact that the owners allow Goodell to make this decision, I put it on them. They run a company that many of them put a lot of money into making it happen. It's been a lot of years. How can they let anybody take control of that and allow a person like Goodell, who has no clue about the free market, to actually make these decisions? And basically, Goodell is just very typical of the liberals who pity the black people. At the end of the day, if it was all a white organization, if all white players are complaining and doing this stuff, they would make sure these young men owned up, stood up, and did the right thing. But for some reason, white liberals feel pity for the black race. And that is the first problem we have to get over. We don't need pity. What we need to do is have the same opportunity and the same parameters that anyone else has. If these young men were given parameters last year, this is what you do, or you're fined, or you're or you get on. This wouldn't have happened. This conversation would not have happened. Thank goodness, guys, we have a president who understands that we need to stand up and man up for our flag. And I don't care what they think of him. I'm proud of him for making this an issue, because we need to get back to the good old basics of loving our country, loving our God, standing up for what's right. And if you don't like it, then demonstrate someplace else. We're not doing a time when most of us are trying to enjoy a game.
Well, exactly. And we're going to be coming up in the NFL season, the end of the season here soon in a couple of months, and we're going to look at the nominees for Walter Payton Man of the Year, and we're going to see some really inspiring, inspirational, amazing work that has been done by these players in a non-controversial way to contribute to their communities. It seems to me, the Burgess, that we could have had this conversation and had it in the context of this, and had it this way, where we have a real conversation instead of the great divide that we're having.
Well, we have to understand that the great thing about this conversation, something we should have been having for a long time, the fight that we're having, and I really hope Americans understand this, is not against black and white. It's not a racial thing. It's not a social justice. It's our Judeo-Christian values that has made our country the greatest in the history of mankind, that allows us to do on the football field what we did with the old Al Davis race. We look at each other inside out, not outside in. That is what our America is all about. What's happening behind the curtains are these young people are not being taught about this system. So they get out, and instead of understanding that social justice begins when you have economic justice, we have man up justice. When men man up and not and actually look at it as a shameful place to be pitied, we have young men now who think being oppressed is a good thing. I don't get it. In the old days, if somebody called you oppressed, you'll fight them, tell them you weren't.
Amen.
You prove that you weren't. So we have to get back to understanding that, first of all, we have men making $85 million on sitting on the sideline, just one. You put that together, there's billions of dollars out there that they could be doing great things instead of waiting for white owners to stand up and do what they should be doing on their own. This, to me, bothers me more than anything else, that these black players are waiting for white people to deal with their issues when they should be manning up and doing what they're supposed to do and making sure things happen in their own community.
Go ahead, Tom.
Burgess, I was going to ask a question about, mentors in the NFL. It seems to me that whether you're a young black player or a young white player, where's the mentors? I mean, to what degree do their agents try to explain the rules of law and logic and economics to them? Because after all, that's their brand. Do the agents help at all? Apparently, I don't see it.
That's a great question. No, agents can't do but so much. And I mean, you have to understand, where the problem lies is that 70% of these young men do not have fathers in the home. There are liberal policies that's made it such that the lack of fatherhood is no problem, there's no shame. I'm working right now with a lot of kids that are coming out of the juvenile system. Out of the juvenile system, for the juvenile correction system, 85% of these young men don't have fathers. Yeah. So by the time these young people get to the sideline, there's already been a mindset. Number one, they don't know God. They don't respect women. They don't respect authority. They're all that. They're actually many gods. That's where they are at that point. Yeah. So you should not expect any difference for someone who believes that. Now, later on in life, when the humble pie shows up, they'll begin to kind of get this together. But we have to get back as a community, as a nation, and recognize what our problem is. We need to serve these young people, give them a message. They're not getting by these liberals and socialists. We need to roll up our sleeves, black conservatives in particular, but other Americans also. We need to get in that community and serve these young people, show them and mentor them and teach them and educate them so they can really begin to understand this country really is for them, and they can add to it other than being complainers and whiners and wimps.
Yeah, before we go, Burgess, really quickly, you got 10 seconds here. What's with your cousin Terrell Owens? Why is he making such a
Talk about mentors.
I'm sorry. I did not mean to pin him on you, and I really apologize, Burgess. I'm glad you're laughing.
What a good way to finish off the year, right? Terrell, I guess, man.
Amen. Burgess, thank you so much. Got to run. Coming up, Tom and I are going to discuss some of the biggest stories of the year. We'll do that after this. Give us a call. We're here.